Series 6 of Doctor Who is probably one of the most divisive seasons of modern Who, with some fans loving the season, with others not so much. Series 6 marked the first appearance of an iconic villain called the Silence, where they are heavily focused throughout the season. We also find out more of River Song's backstory and why she was in prison. The most recognisable episodes fans and casual viewers will probably know in this season was the two-parter Impossible Astronaut and Day on the Moon. The Doctor's Arrive, A Good Man Goes to War, The Girl Who Waited, The God Complex, and the infamous Wedding of Riversong that sparks controversy towards the fandom. And in this video I will be ranking them worst to best. Worst means it was the least memorable episode on the list, and it was also meh. And best means it was the most memorable episode, and I enjoyed the episode. Let's start the video. Coming last at 13th on the list is The Rebel Flesh. I generally found this episode to be the weakest of the series, due to myself at some points of the episode finding it hard to watch, as it felt like it was dragging on with no execution. However, with the cliffhanger at the end showing the Doctor to be cloned as a Fresh, it somewhat got me to see what happens in the next following the episode, which I think was the best part of the episode, honestly. Coming close with the beginning of the episode, where Amy, Rory and Doctor is in the TARDIS with Moosey's supermassive black hole playing in the background, with Amy and Rory playing darts. Coming 12th on the list is The Almost People. Now this episode is practically the same as The Rebel Flesh, however I found myself enjoying this episode more, as I found myself having two Doctors interested in trying to figure out which one is the real one and which one is the Flesh. This was somewhat used well as the real Doctor switched roles with the Flesh to see if Amy would recognise the switch, and how she would treat the Doctors with her behaviour and attitudes. This episode did somewhat also drag too long like it did with The Rebel Flesh, however got saved by the cliffhanger of Amy turning out to be a Flesh since the start of the season. Coming up at 11th is Closing Time. This episode saw the return of Craig, who we last saw in Series 5, The Loser, with this episode being kind of a direct sequel to it. However, with Craig moving house and the Doctor on his last adventure, before he goes to Utah where he dies, the whole episode we see the Doctor looking for suspicious activity happening near Craig's town, where we see the Cyberman was the reason why there was people missing. We also see that Craig now has a baby, which gets featured often in the episode, where the baby doesn't respect Craig, however changes its mood after Craig mentally defeated the Cyberman. I would say this episode was decent, however I enjoyed the other episodes more that I'm about to rank. At 10th is Let's Kill Hitler, where we see the beginning of Riverson with her target to kill the Doctor. This episode was somewhat disappointing after the platform A Good Man Goes to War gave. However, it did bring fun and good moments. For example, we see that River, who was Melody Pond beforehand, be part of Amy and Rory's childhood and her finding the Doctor. With first hitting the TARDIS, of course, but they land in Nazi Germany, where we see Rory put Hitler in the cupboard, what was funny. At the end, we do see the Doctor die, but River uses up all regenerations to save him, letting him live, which was a cool moment. At number 9 on the list is The Curse of the Black Spot. Now this episode I hardly had issues with, however the episodes I ranked higher I felt was more enjoyable and had better storyline execution. The highlights of this episode in particular I liked was how the Doctor was goofy throughout the episode, while we also have an average fun Doctor Who experience. With Amy dressing as a pirate to fit in with the theme, while also seeing Rory get injured, where we see Amy and the Doctor try to save him due to him almost drowning from the nurse, showing an emotional tone to the episode. The issue with this episode, though, was how the pacing did get somewhat slow after a while. Now we head to number 8 on the list, which is The Night Terror. This episode, when watching as a kid, used to scare the living out of me with the pig dolls which Amy and the other people turned into. This episode I find myself watching from time to time due to the pacing of the episode being quite decent, while also putting events in the episode that makes people wanting to watch more. Like when Amy and Rory is trapped in the dollhouse, and when the doctor is also got pulled into the dollhouse as well, trying his hardest to persuade the kid to let him free. Overall, another decent episode in the series. Coming in number 7 is The Wedding of River Song, which is the finale of the series. This episode did have some fun bits, like bringing different time periods into modern day, and River Song breaking time to save the Doctor. However, I did find the episode to be overall messy, trying to tie up the story plot into one episode, which I find was too much, and was probably better changing it into a two-parter. It was cool to see the Doctor dodging death and him and River getting married to carry on the River Song story's arc. Whilst we can also forget that the Doctor did try to call up the Brigadier to see how he was. However, he did find out that the Brigadier was actually dead for like a couple of months now, making it emotional and making the Doctor realise it is his time to die. Now, we are at a point of the ranking where I find ordering these episodes quite tricky, starting with number 6, which is the God Complex. This episode overall is really good. I love how throughout the episode we find the Doctor's theory to be wrong and that it was actually causing people to die, which was the Doctor originally trying to make them use their beliefs to defeat the monster, but turns out it was actually using their beliefs to kill them, where we see the Doctor trying to save Amy at the end by telling her to stop looking up to him, as the monster was going to kill her as she continues believing on him. In number 5 on the list, I'm gonna go with Girl Who Waited, as I love how this episode let us have a Dr. Light episode with just Amy and Rory, where we see Rory trying to save Amy as she is now stuck in a fast time period, which results with Rory having to face a decision of whether to save the old Amy or his Amy he knew all his life, which results with a conflict between Amy and the Doctor due to him not letting them both live, as it would create a paradox that can destroy the universe. In number 4 is The Doctor's Wife. This episode lets us see inside the TARDIS outside of the console room for the first time since the classic series, where an entity called House that tricks and harvests hundreds of Time Lords lures the Doctor into the planet, where he processes the TARDIS, causing the TARDIS soul being trapped inside a human's body. Throughout the episode, we see the TARDIS soul and the Doctor trying to get back inside the console room to save Amy and Rory before House kills them. This episode also lets us see the nice and tense Doctor's TARDIS interior, but with it being green as House has access to the TARDIS data banks. In number 3 is Good Man Goes to War. This episode finally reveals who River Song was, highlighting that she was in fact Amy and Rory's daughter, while also finding out that the Silence is trying to take Melody Pond away to use her as a weapon towards the Doctor, where we see the Doctor rise so high where he utterly destroys them in Damon 1, but falls dramatically after finding out the Silence has used a fresh copy of Melody to trick the Doctor, making him lose. This episode also makes the Doctor team up with people who owe him favours in time and space to collect their debt by helping him save Amy and Melody. This episode overall just gives goosebumps every time rewatching due to how well executed this episode was written. Now on to the final 2 episodes, starting with number 2, which is Day of the Moon. This episode is a follow-up to Impossible Astronaut, where we see throughout the episode the Doctor, Amy and Rory, with their son, investigating the location the astronaut was coming from, and trying to find more information on who the Silence is and why they are able to make people forget who they are, making the episode being Quite a scary thriller. This episode began with like a cliffhanger where we see Amy telling the doctor she is pregnant, while also spotting the astronaut again, which he suits as he doesn't want a repeat of what happened in Impossible Astronaut. And in first place is Impossible Astronaut. This episode is just spectacular as it includes the doctor trying to talk to an astronaut that was walking towards him in the water, where the astronaut shoots the doctor, causing him to regenerate, but gets shot again, leaving him to die, creating a dramatic start to the series and episode. After Rory burns the doctor's body, we see the younger version of the doctor be at the restaurant, causing conflict throughout the episodes, as they can't tell the doctor that he died as he was from the past. This episode is just probably one of the best openers of Modern Who to date, due to the amount of cliffhangers and thrillers we had just because of this episode alone. Now, this marks the end of my ranking of Series 6 of Doctor Who. Let me know down in the comments below which Doctor Who Series 6 episode you like the most and why. Don't forget to like and subscribe the video for more Doctor Who ranking and overall Doctor Who videos in the future. Bye!